You know, one thing we have hanging downstairs on the very first floor of Copay Hall is Volume 1, Number 1 of the Brown and White. And it's a great document in a lot of ways. Right there in the top left column, there's a story that begins, "Welcome. We think Lehigh should have a newspaper now. It's old enough and it's big enough to have a newspaper." And we are soon going to be approaching 125 years of the Brown and White coming out Tuesdays and Fridays.
At Lehigh University, the Brown and White is our student publication. We produce news twice a week in print and then 24/7 on the web. And we have sometimes more than 150 students on staff.
The fact that we're student-run and student-generated really just means that we're the ones making these decisions. We're the ones being able to write the stories that we think really matter and are going to resonate with the community that we're working with, so the Lehigh community, students, faculty, as well as the Bethlehem and kind of greater Lehigh Valley.
That's where I spent, I would say, most of my time while I was in college. It's where I learned to do reporting. It's where I learned to do interviews and to write. I wrote a lot, and then I became an editor fairly quickly.
It kind of became my whole life, but in the best way possible. It consumed so much of my time, but it never felt like work. And that's what I always have really treasured about it, is the friendships that I made from it.
Each week, it's really well designed, it's very easy to read. We're going to need someone. Most of our students are interdisciplinary, and we have students coming in who may never step foot in a newsroom, but are learning tools and skills, communication skills that can help them in any field. And I really, really think that that's important. People who work in technical fields, biology, engineering, can now talk about what they do to anybody.
It's so much more than a newspaper. It's first of all, it's a social site. There's people who gather from all around the campus who work for the Brown and White. Very few places on the campus that provide the melting pot that the Brown and White can provide.
The more people you put from different areas of campus, the more interesting stories you're going to get, because you have so much ground that you've covered on campus as well. And just different personalities, different flavors that you bring in. These people are your friends, they're your peers. It's very easy to learn from them, and it's very easy to get excited about what they're doing.
The Brown and White is how we can teach students how to do journalism in a way that matters. The newspaper version is still publishing about 4,000 copies. You know, they're not just handing in a report to a professor, but on Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat, these stories are being read by tens of thousands of people sometimes. So it's just an incredible teaching vehicle.
We do much more than just think about our print product. We do data journalism, we do multimedia journalism. We're experimenting with chatbots and all sorts of innovation. And I think that's where we need to be. We are training people for a very varied landscape, but they'll also have the roots of journalism, principles, reporting along the way.
I think my work on the Brown and White was probably the bulk of what I even discussed in my job interview or other internship interviews that I had. I think getting that practical experience just was the most valuable thing to be able to speak about.
Yeah, it's so important for the Lehigh, for the department, and for the students to keep the Brown and White going. The news that it brings to the campus, first of all, won't be told any other way. And it's not up to Lehigh to provide that kind of information. It's up to a newspaper to provide that. For the department and the students, I can't imagine a better teaching vehicle.
Like their background, don't just
So I think you need a press that makes clear to students and faculty and administrators that there should be an independent voice, an independent check, and help people understand the role of the press in our society. I mean, the reality is that there is no democracy without a free press, and there never has been, and there never will be. It's absolutely essential.
These are the students who will be going into the workforce as journalists, as communicators, with the principles and ethics and guidelines behind them, knowing how journalism should be practiced in a free society. And I think you can see right there why it's important to support student journalism. It's the incubator for the future of our digital landscape, our digital media.